Crackers seem like a simple food. Flour, water, and a little salt. That whole grain claim on the front box does not always mean what people assume. Crackers are engineered for a specific crisp texture that requires real formulation work. This is grocery science. Today, we look at what is really inside crackers. Cracker sodium can add up quickly, since a serving size is often quite small. Those two similar-sounding phrases can describe very different actual grain content. By the end of this video, you will read that cracker box very differently. Crackers can fit a balanced diet. The label reveals which version you are actually eating. The term whole grain on cracker packaging carries surprisingly little formal regulation. The FDA issued draft guidance on whole grain labeling in 2006 that remains unfinished today. The phrase "made with whole grains" can legally apply even with just 1% whole grain content. Multigrain means a product contains more than one grain, not necessarily any whole grains at all. Some popular whole wheat-sounding crackers actually contain more refined flour than whole wheat flour. That formulation difference often shows up clearly in a comparison of fiber content. The Whole Grains Council stamp offers a more consistently verified whole grain indicator. The basic stamp requires at least 8 grams of whole grain. The 100% stamp requires 16 grams. Checking for an actual gram count, not just the word whole grain, gives more clarity. A 2016 FDA collaborative study found many consumers could not correctly identify whole grain crackers. That same study found many participants mistakenly identified refined bread as a whole grain product. The ingredient list remains the clearest practical tool for verifying real whole grain content. For decades, partially hydrogenated oil was a standard ingredient in many cracker recipes. Hydrogenation converts liquid vegetable oil into a solid fat, extending shelf life significantly. The FDA once estimated that essentially all commercial crackers contained artificial trans fat. Research through the 1990s and 2000s linked artificial trans fat specifically to heart health risk. In 2015, the FDA determined partially hydrogenated oils were no longer generally recognized as safe. Manufacturers were given until June 2018 to remove partially hydrogenated oil from their products. Public health researchers estimated this policy change would meaningfully improve national heart health outcomes. Most crackers today use palm oil, sunflower oil, or other reformulated fats instead. Fully hydrogenated oil, unlike the partially hydrogenated version, does not contain trans fat. Labels can state 0 grams trans fat if a serving contains under half a gram. Eating several servings across a day could still mean consuming small amounts of trans fat. Checking specifically for the words partially hydrogenated remains a fast, reliable verification step. This specific phrase has become rare on current cracker packaging following the regulatory ban. The removal of artificial trans fat from crackers stands as a genuine public health success. Saturated fat content from replacement oils is now the more relevant consideration for crackers. Salt is added to cracker dough both for flavor and for structural, textural reasons. Cracker serving sizes are often small, making it easy to underestimate total sodium consumed. Most people eat considerably more than the labeled serving size of 5 or 6 crackers. Health guidelines recommend adults limit sodium to about 2,300 milligrams daily. A generous cracker snacking session can use up a meaningful share of that daily limit. Comparing low sodium and regular versions directly often reveals a substantial sodium difference. Low sodium products must contain no more than 140 milligrams per serving. Checking the actual milligram total, not just the claim, reveals the true sodium picture. Seasoned and cheese-flavored crackers generally carry more sodium than plain wheat varieties. Pairing crackers with fresh vegetables adds fiber and reduces overall sodium density per bite. Comparing several brands side by side often reveals meaningful, avoidable sodium differences. Sodium also contributes functionally to a cracker's structure and characteristic crisp texture. Choosing unsalted top varieties reduces sodium without significantly changing the base recipe. Adding up sodium across an entire sleeve reveals how quickly mindless snacking accumulates. Sodium per serving and true serving size remain the two figures most worth checking together. Fiber content varies enormously between refined flour crackers and genuine whole grain versions. Refined flour crackers frequently contain 1 gram of fiber or less per serving. Genuine whole grain crackers can provide 3 or more grams of fiber per serving. Dietary fiber supports digestive health and helps moderate the body's blood sugar response. Some newer cracker varieties made from legumes or seeds offer meaningfully more protein. Calorie density is fairly similar across most cracker types, generally around 4 to 5 per gram. Some sweeter cracker varieties include meaningful added sugar alongside their savory ingredients. Checking for added sugar sources reveals a detail easy to overlook in a savory snack. Refined flour crackers generally produce a faster blood sugar response than whole grain versions. Pairing crackers with cheese, hummus, or nut butter adds protein and slows overall digestion. Gluten-free crackers made from rice or corn flour are often lower in fiber. Comparing gluten-free and standard versions directly reveals real nutritional trade-offs worth understanding. Grain type fundamentally shapes a cracker's fiber, protein, and overall nutritional profile. Comparing several brands side by side often reveals surprisingly large fiber differences. Understanding these patterns lets you choose crackers intentionally, not just by familiar packaging. Nearly all crackers are baked rather than fried, making that specific claim fairly meaningless. Terms like artisan and homestyle carry no regulated definition specific to crackers. A natural label claim does not guarantee the absence of processed flour or oils. Serving size print is often smaller than the flavor description printed above it. Flipping the box over remains the most reliable way to verify any front label claim. Health-sounding icons and colors do not always reflect the actual grain content underneath. Checking grams of whole grain listed directly matters more than trusting the word alone. Comparing several brands side by side often reveals surprisingly large sodium differences. Some products labeled all natural still list refined flour as their very first ingredient. Marketing language strongly shapes how healthy a cracker box appears, independent of actual grain content. Check the first ingredient, check grams of fiber, And check sodium content per serving. Choosing a cracker listing whole wheat flour first ensures genuine whole grain content. Measuring an actual serving helps align intake with what the nutrition label describes. Pairing crackers with hummus or fresh vegetables creates a more balanced, filling snack. Choosing unsalted top varieties meaningfully reduces sodium without significantly changing overall flavor. Whole grain crackers are often priced slightly higher than standard refined flour versions. A few extra seconds reading the label can meaningfully change what ends up in the pantry. Knowledge about ingredients is not about fear. It is about informed, confident choices. We started this video with a simple box of crackers. Behind every box of crackers is a formulation history involving fat, fiber, and sodium. The evidence shows whole grain wording and sodium content are the two details most worth checking. That understanding gives you a real choice, rather than just a marketed one. At Grocery Science, we examine food through evidence, not to generate fear. Coming up, what is really inside fruit snacks, coffee creamer, and bottled iced tea? Thank you for watching Grocery Science. Stay curious, stay informed.